Okay. Let's swap this over. Hello, I am back yet again. Let's see. So, I guess before we get to the real news, which you can see right behind me here, I'll go ahead and start with just personal news. Today was pretty boring. I went to work. Let's see. I worked out over lunch. Did chest day. That's always my favorite day out of all of the days. I wish it was chest day every day, but unfortunately that is not the case. It's a pretty dreary day here, but and unfortunately I was a little bit busier with work. But then after work I made a meatloaf and some sweet potato fries. So yep, that was about it for me so far. And then I got right on here so that I can talk to my many viewers that I'm sure are going to show up. But anyway, so yeah, today's going to be just more of the same. In terms of the game in the bottom right of my corner, I'm probably just going to be trying to do some more quests and to just complete them, and then maybe do some of these delves. I'm probably not going to dungeon while I'm streaming because I haven't even learned the dungeons or anything yet. So, but yeah. Anyway, we got to talk about it. You know, he's our big beautiful president is at it again. I believe he is. Is he in Germany or there? This background. This has to be like Donald Trump. This has to be like somewhere in America. Like this has to be the Oval Office or something. This is so Trump coded. So I don't really know what's going on in this video. Oh, here's another thing. I actually prepared a little. I have a bunch of videos here. Now, obviously, we're not going to watch all of them, but just so that I had some stuff to choose from and I wasn't just randomly trying to find it. Thank you, Mem Straw Hat. Always here to show me your support. I love it. Okay, so let's see what our big beautiful boy has to say.
To an end as soon as possible, but Ukraine has to preserve its territory and the president.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very famous place. Any questions, please?
President.
Jumping right in.
Israel forced your hand to launch these strikes against Iran.
Duh.
Is that enough to pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with
I might have forced their hand. It was all a Trump's idea. He told Israel. He said, "You have to go to war. You have to go to war so that we can go to war." It was all him. This is definitely not Israel. We swear.
lunatics. And it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people, people that do this very successfully.
That's what he meant.
And have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready, and we were ready, and we've had a very, very
not the case.
Powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked.
Like, I think it goes without saying, but most people understand that this is Israel's war. Like, I've said it before, like, Israel has been planning this for decades, and Trump is just kind of along for the ride. Like, I don't want to say he's going full Brandon on this. Like, he's not fully lost his mind yet, but like, I think that he knows that he's lying here, but yeah, this was definitely Israel.
Out now, their missile count is going way down. Amazingly, they're hitting countries that were
just curious.
Let's call them neutral, right? They lived together for a long time. I think they were surprised. I was surprised. I think and now those countries are all fighting against them and fighting strongly against them. Someday they'll write a story and they'll say why they did that. But they hit countries that had nothing to do with
Nothing to do
what's
with
going
it.
on. They were sort of leaving everything alone. All of a sudden, they had missiles shot in, which shows you the
Those
level
bases, they were just someone else just put them there, and they charged America somehow. Like, you look through our balance sheet, like somehow we paid for them all, but definitely like it wasn't us who put them there. Like, they're not our military bases. They were just hitting random ones.
of evil that we're dealing with. They'll hit people that were actually at least somewhat friendly, and they had no problems with it. Also hitting only civilian places,
Only
hotels,
civilian.
apartment buildings.
They didn't hit
We're hitting them
a single
where it
military
is
target.
much more appropriate. We're hitting them very hard, and the
So
big
appropriate. Those two strikes on that school were definitely the most appropriate military targets.
scale hitting goes now. They no longer have air protection. They no longer have any detection facilities at all left, and
Detection
So they're gonna-
facilities.
they're going to be in for a lot of hurt. These are bad people. These are people that killed. I guess it's 35,000. It's coming out 35,000 over the last 3 weeks. Protesters, 35,000 violently killed.
This is the funniest
So these
thing.
are-
This number has gone up like 10 times since it happened. Like, it started, I swear it started at like a few hundred or something when it first happened. And then like it went up to like 1,100. And then yesterday I heard Lil Marco say that it was up to like 10,000, or I think it was him who said it. And then now Trump's like, it's 35,000. Pretty soon it'll be 100,000. Like, they are like 20 million. They killed 20 million protesters the other day. Don't ask questions. I know Iran only has 90 million people. They killed 20 million of them.
Bad people, and the leader of the pack is gone. And as you know, 49 people were taken out in the first hit, and I guess there was another hit today on the new leadership, and it looks like that was pretty substantial also.
Did no
So
leadership.
they're getting hit very hard, and we'll see what happens.
This just shows, though, that they have no plans of negotiating with anybody. Like, they would not be taking out the new leadership as soon as it replaced the old leadership if they were actually trying to negotiate something here.
A lot of people are coming forward. A lot of the people you would least suspect want to quit. They want to have immunity. They're asking for immunity.
Begging for it.
And probably at some point they'll be dropping, as you would say, laying down their guns. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, we're just
Dropping
continuing
them.
to go forward. Our military is the #1 in the world by far. And
That's
we
true.
are, everything's big in my book. Venezuela is big. This is big. The original
Well,
hit.
one of these is a little bit bigger than the other ones. Like Venezuela, Cuba, and then Iran. Like, I think one of these was just a little bit bigger than the others.
Midnight Hammer was big. Everything you
Oh,
view as
Midnight
big.
Hammer
but,
was so big. It's the biggest hammer.
It's not considered very big by some standards, by some of our standards. We have a military like no other military that's ever been built.
What's the worst case scenario that you have planned for?
I don't like to think about that.
Well, I don't know if there's a worst case. We have them very much
No such thing as a worst case. Everything's
beaten
the best.
militarily from the military standpoint.
Not even in hypotheticals is there a worst case. Only the best.
Still lobbing some missiles. At some point, they won't even be able to do
Lobbing.
that because we're hitting all of their carriers. We're hitting all of their missile stock. You know, they built up all these missiles over the last few years. They had a lot of
Yeah.
them. They've
I
shot
said the other
a
day,
lot of
that's
them, and
impressive.
we're knocking out a lot.
But so they're gonna always say that, like, they're almost out of missiles, and we're probably gonna hear this a few more times. We're probably gonna hear this, in maybe a couple weeks, or assuming it keeps going that long, we'll probably hear it then. We'll probably hear it in about a month. We'll hear it in a couple months. Like, always take it with a grain of salt. The Iran usually is pretty accurate when they give their estimates for how long they can continue these things. Like, I mean, maybe they beef it up a little, and if there's not as much communication between all of the people who are shooting the missiles and stuff or keeping track of them, but like, they said 60 to 90 days. So, like, if you want to know when they'll actually probably start running out and it'll start slowing down a lot, it would be like around then. So I'd say at least like give it 60 days, and then at that point, then we have to decide like, oh, like they're probably going to start trying to, you know, they're probably still producing, or at least trying to still produce if they can, to some extent, like while this is going on, so that they can try and keep it going as long as possible. But at that point, we'll just be in, you know, the normal sort of quagmire that America loves to get into.
I guess the worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person, right? That could happen.
That's the worst. Well, here, I got one for you. Somebody who's worse. Oh wait, I got one who's even worse than that. Someone who's even worse than that.
We don't want that to happen. It would probably be
Satan.
the worst. You go through
What if
this
Satan
and
takes over? If Satan takes over the Iranian government, would that be the worst?
then in 5 years you realize you put somebody in who was no better. So we'd like to see somebody in there that's going to bring it back for the people. And we'll see what happens with the people. You know, they have their chance. And we've said, don't do it yet. If you're going to go out and protest, don't do it yet.
Don't do it
We're
yet.
dangerous out there. A lot of bombs are being
When they
dropped.
saw that nobody was going out there, they're like, don't do it yet, don't do it yet.
But I would say...
Rise
that would
up,
be
but
about
not
the
yet,
worst.
not yet.
Do you have someone in mind right now? Because you said all the people you did have in mind have
Who's
been
he want?
taken out.
What do we think Donald Trump's top pick? What do we think his top pick for new leader of Iran is? Maybe Barron Trump, get Slenderman in there. I mean, he's really tall. Like they might respect him for that.
Most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, you
Yeah,
know, we
knowing Trump, it'll be some State Department goon.
had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also,
They're all dead.
based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty sure we're not going to know anybody. But we have, I mean, Venezuela was so incredible because we did the attack and we kept government totally intact. And we have
It's almost as
Delcy,
if-
who's been
It's almost as if you didn't really do anything at all.
very good. We have the whole chain of command, and they've been, you know, look, the
I won't say they
relationship's been
didn't
great.
do
We've taken
anything. Like, they did convince them to stop sending oil to Cuba. So, like, okay, they did accomplish one goal with that.
out 100 million barrels of oil already, and a big part of that goes to them, and a big part goes to us. And it's been great. We paid for the war many times over, and we're going to be running the
It's
oil.
all funny money.
And Venezuela is going to make more money than they ever made, and that's great for the people. The relationship
They're
has
going to
been
make
great.
money. We're
It's
going to
been
make money
seamless.
out of thin air.
Nobody's actually ever seen anything like it. If you look at Iraq, where very stupidly everybody was fired, the generals were fired, the military was fired, the police were fired, the fire departments were fired,
What?
and all of the government workers were fired. So after, you know, people would call, they had no idea. And by the way, ISIS was formed. That's where ISIS came from.
Yeah.
All of the fired people.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. So we'll see what
we
happens. but,
invaded Iraq, and then ISIS was created. And so now we're invading in Iran, which is a lot bigger. So maybe super mega, like Mecha ISIS is going to be created after that.
First, we have to finish off the military.
What do you think?
I thought they were laying down their arms.
Is he an option at all in your mind?
I guess he is. Some people like him, and we haven't been thinking about too much about that. It would seem to me that somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate. I've said that. He looks like a very nice person.
Oh, is this the expat guy?
But
He's
it
like
would seem
60
to
now.
me that somebody that's there, that's
I heard someone
currently
say that he
popular,
wouldn't
is
even
such a
make it
person.
from the plane to the.
But we have people like that. We have
where
people
they're
that were
saying,
more
like,
moderate.
They would.
You know,
they would just
these
kill
are
him if he
radical
landed
lunatics,
there.
and you know what they get?
I don't
They
think
get
he's gonna
nothing.
be
All they do
leaving
is kill
anytime soon.
people.
What exactly was the end of
You've
it?
asked, so not your turn.
What is that?
Not your
Your
turn,
turn.
please.
Mr. President, you're going to take the heat off the Europeans with the how Human Rutte called
It's
on
too quiet. I'm gonna turn on the caption.
allies to also help you. And,
What does that mean?
well, you have to ask our group if you said not as part of NATO, but to be helpful to you in this. And we'll
Well,
do
some
that.
of the European nations have been helpful and some haven't. And I'm, very surprised. Germany's been
Technically,
great.
we're at war.
He's
That
been,
means all NATO nations need to
terrific.
come to the rescue.
Others
Come
have
save
been
America.
Very good. Terrific.
That's why
I
people
think-
join NATO, right? That's why they join NATO, is to come save America when they overextend themselves in military adventurism.
That the head of NATO, Mark, is fantastic. Okay?
He is.
Mark Rutte. I think he's fantastic. But some of the European,
Classic
like Spain, has been
businessman move.
terrible.
Remember the name.
In fact, I told Scott to cut off
That's
all
why I know I would be a terrible businessman. I can't remember anybody's names.
dealings with Spain. Spain, first of all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it, Germany, everybody. And Spain
We'll see
didn't
if
do
that
it.
happens.
And now
I have
Spain
my doubts.
actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We
Oh,
can use
Spain
their
did
base if we
that.
want. We
Okay.
can just fly in and use
Way to
it.
go, Spain.
Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly, and so I told
Wow,
them,
Spain is the only one who's willing to even mildly stand up to the America of the EU. And I think that's been the case for a while. I think if I remember, they have like a socialist presidency. So it's not like surprising, I guess, that if there was going to be one country in the EU that like doesn't go along with American, shit policy, like it would probably be them.
we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as
Leadership
you
is
know,
not
they were the
people.
only country
It's a
that
dog,
NATO
actually.
would not agree to go up to 5%.
They elected Clifford the Big Red Dog, and we don't like him.
I don't think they wanted agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything
All
to do with
trade,
Spain.
oh god. Is that legal? Like, I know the SCOTUS, Supreme Court, they ruled his tariffs legal, but is he still allowed to just, cut off all trade? I guess so. It's technically different, right?
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not happy with the UK either.
Never.
That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it, for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him.
What?
And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out
lease to an
where we
island?
can land. It would have been much more convenient
Oh.
landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours.
Yeah, and so this is, I'm assuming they wanted to land their plane somewhere or something, or I know that there were talks of they wanted to get the UK more involved or something, and I think they said no, which good for them. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest. So that must be what he's talking about, but with Donald Trump, it's so hard to tell sometimes.
So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
I always love when neocons love Winston
Germany
Churchill.
do and what should Germany do to help you with this?
Well, I think they're doing
Germany.
it. I mean,
Germany will be all in, baby. Germany is gonna run into this war like it's, like we're leading up to World War II. Like they are ready. They are going to join America. They're gonna join Israel. They're they've been waiting for this. This is their moment. I swear this time, they're it's all gonna work out for them. I swear.
they're letting us land in certain areas, and we appreciate it, and they're just making it comfortable. We're not asking them to put boots on the ground or anything. I mean, we're just
We're not even
they're a
doing that.
respected country. I have a very good
So much
relationship
respect.
with the country. We have, in particular now, with this leader, with this new leader. I think he's an excellent leader.
I don't even
I
know
had
who
my
the German leader
differences
is.
with Angela. I said, you're hurting your country with immigration and you're hurting your country with energy. And we have a
Yeah,
man
you're hurting your
sitting
country.
on my right that
It's not oh, you're not allowed to buy cheap Russian exports anymore, because Ukraine, we're at war with Russia through Ukraine. so we sanctioned Russia, and now you can't get energy at a decent price. Like, oh, and by the way, all of the energy prices are about to go up like 50 to 100% in Russia. I'm sure they'll love eating that one.
That is, I think, pretty much the opposite of her on energy and the opposite on immigration. And I think he's doing very well.
Commercial air travel right now is severely restricted in the Middle East, and thousands of Americans are stranded. Why wasn't there an evacuation plan? And will you send
That's a decent question.
people out?
Well, because it happened all very quickly. We thought...
All very
I
quickly.
thought
They were planning
maybe
this
more
for
so
weeks.
than most. I could ask Marco. But I thought we were going to have a situation where we were going to be attacked. They were getting ready to attack Israel. They were getting ready to attack others.
They were getting
You're
ready.
seeing that right now. And a lot of those
That's why all the
missiles
preemptive
that
strikes. There's the Israel preemptive strike, and then the America preemptive strike, and then Iran did a preemptive strike, and it's just, I don't think there's even been a regular strike yet. It's all preemptive strikes all the way down.
hitting in, those are stationary. Those
War
are
hasn't
aimed
even
there for
started
a
yet.
long period of time at these other countries. So I think I was right about that. We attacked first. And if we didn't, it could have been, look, we're really decimating them. They're being decimated.
Decimated.
And if we didn't, and by the way, we have massive amounts of ammunition.
Massive.
We have the high end.
You know when he's bringing this up out of nowhere, right? Like you know, right? Like, there's not that many. Like, he would not be saying this. He would not be saying this if they were good on ammunition. Like, this is classic Donald Trump, like, accidentally saying the exact opposite of, or like saying the exact opposite of what the truth is, and thinking that like nobody's catching on. But like, we're catching on a little bit, Don.
A lot of it
Bro.
was given away stupidly by Biden, very stupidly, for free. And I'm all for Ukraine, but they gave away a lot. As you know, when I give away ammunition, everybody pays for it. The European Union's paying for it. Then they can do what they want with it, but they are giving it, let's say, to Ukraine, and it's okay. But we gave away a lot of high-end, but we have plenty. But we have unlimited middle and upper ammunition, which is really what we're
uppers.
using in this war.
Yeah, that's what I took this morning.
Really an unlimited supply. We also have a lot of the very high-end stored in different countries throughout the world. We're literally
I can't wait
storing
for
it
the
there,
CD,
which is
by the way.
actually something that I insisted on in my first term. I rebuilt the military in my first term. The military is great.
Rebuilt it,
a
got
lot
rid of woke.
Unbelievable amount of
The most unwoke
ammunition
military in the
or
world.
munitions, as they say. We're giving away to, the Wall Street Journal incorrectly covered the story when they said that it was given away to the Middle East. Not to the Middle East, it was given away to Ukraine.
Yeah,
Very
I
little
mean,
was given to the Middle
It was given away to all of them. Like, this is the story of America over the past 10 years. Is we use up our munitions that take like a year to make one of them. And then they each cost like $1 million, and then we use them all up on Ukraine, or we use a significant portion of them, and then we start bullying everybody while we're already kind of like pretty short on our stockpiles. And then we do the 12-day war, and then we go through like 20% of what we had left, and then now we're in this war, and we're gonna by the time this is done, there's not going to be a single missile left to like protect us or something. Like, and not that we have anything really we need protecting from. I don't think Mexico or Canada are going to invade anytime soon. But like, to all of the like, I don't know, the people who said that they like, we need to start focusing on America, or America first, like all that sort of stuff. It's like, I don't know how you can see using our hundreds of millions of dollars worth of missile interceptors that take years, if not decades, to restockpile, like how that is in any way America first.
East. Middle East would buy a lot, and some of the nations, because they're rich, they have a lot, but it was given away to Ukraine. And it just should have been done. Look, it's a war that should have never happened. If I were president,
True.
that war would have never happened.
Oh,
But
definitely.
we have a
100.
tremendous amount of ammunition.
Never would have
At
happened.
the upper level,
Can you imagine if Biden wasn't president? Not a single war.
middle and upper level, all of which is really powerful stuff.
The rabble rousers. I always think this is so funny. Like this whole how they take questions. It seems so primitive to me. Like that they just have a group of people just yell for attention, and that's how they decide who they're gonna take the question from. It's like, don't you think we could have come up with like a more effective system at this point, like a take your number system, or like, or getting like we create a line. Like, I don't know. This just seems so primitive to me.
Both of you, how worried are you that the rising prices for gas and oil are damaging the
Not worried at all.
economy and also Mr. Chancellor?
Yeah, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. This is, of course, damaging our economies. This is true for the oil prices, and this is true for the gas prices as well. So that's the reason why we all hope that this
that the
war
MERS?
will
Is
come
that
to
the
an end
shipping
as
dude?
soon as possible. And we are hoping that the Israeli and the American army are doing the right things to bring this to an end and to have really a new government in place who is
You're gonna be
coming
waiting a
back
long
to
time, buddy.
Yeah. Something had to be done. And it's been
Donald
47
Trump's
years.
posture.
They've been
I've said this like a couple times, but Donald Trump always just gave me such like Michael Scott energy. Like the way he carries himself, the way that he just like lies obviously. Like he lies in a, like everybody knows he's lying, but he still lies. It's like very like 12-year-old coded, you know.
killing people all over the world for a long time. They were the kings and fathers of the roadside bomb. Soleimani, we killed him last term.
We killed a
If we
lot of
didn't,
people,
I think it
man.
might be a different story today. They would have been much stronger and smarter than they are. But they did the roadside bombs. 95% of the people lost their legs, arms, had their face
This is that.
wiped
The
out.
IED
Wiped
shit.
out. I've seen some young people that it's so sad to watch. And that was almost all, 95% comes from Iran and with Soleimani. Soleimani loved it. His favorite weapon. He loved the roadside bomb.
He
And when you
loved
see
it. It
people
was his
walking
favorite
around with no
thing.
legs and no arms and a face that's been blown to hell, these people, what they have to go and the way they have to live. This is Iran. When you look at the barracks, the famous barracks, when you look at the hostages, when you look at a lot of hostages, when you look at all of the problems, they were really a purveyor of terror all over the world for many, many years.
It's my favorite thing that
And
he
it's
says
something
terror
that had to
instead
be
of
done.
terror.
Something, and I believe that if we didn't, because I see where Congress, you know, if I didn't do this,
The terror.
guys like Schumer, who are losers, the Democrats,
They are losers. That's
why
true.
they're
I
not
agree.
here.
Chuck
Guys
Schumer
like
can go
Schumer would
fuck
say,
himself.
well, you should have done this. In other words, if I did it, it's no good. If I didn't do it, they would have said the opposite.
This is exactly why the Dems suck at messaging. This exactly is what he's saying right here, because he's not wrong. He is 100% correct. He is 100% correct that the Democrats wanted this to do this, and now they're complaining about process. And so when he does this argument where he says, well, you don't want me to do it, or you want me to do it, but you don't want me to do it because I'm not doing it the right way, like, what, who cares? I'm just going to do it. Like, just be happy about it. Like, that's a much better, like, that's going to win over a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people will agree with that statement. It just makes the Democrats look fucking stupid. And they're doing this to themselves. This is where they're just collaborators with, like, fascism, because they can't openly come out and call what he's doing fascist, and like, we don't want it to be done. Like, they can't unequivocally just say we don't want to go to war with Iran, because they do.
Should have done this, but most people feel, I tell you what, I have never had more compliments on something I did.
I'm sure.
People
I'm
felt
sure.
it's something that had to be done. So
All the billionaires, they are loving this. This has been the best week of their life.
we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower
Drop
than
like a rock.
even before.
Even lower.
Wait,
what am I doing?
Go ahead, please.
I gotta collect my rewards.
Yes.
How do you want to solve the conflict on
on tariffs between the EU and US in this
Between who?
the conflict on tariffs between the EU and US. How do you want to solve
And U.S. and who?
EU, European Union.
Oh.
How do you want
I couldn't
Well,
hear his question.
We won on tariffs, actually. Somebody
We
said
won?
you actually won the case. We won on tariffs. We had a decision that was wrong. It was a very bad decision from
Terrible
certain
decision.
standpoints. From other standpoints, a very powerful decision because it reaffirmed all the fact that we have all these various forms of tariffs that we felt right, but it totally reaffirmed it. It said you can use all of these tariffs. So we have all these vast menus of tariffs, and tariffs have made our country
I've
very
never
rich.
heard one person say the word tariff so
We have
many
to
times.
charge tariffs to nations who play with their money. You know, they move their money up and down like a yo-yo. We have to take care of nations that have been good to us and fair to us, and we're going to take care of them. Other nations,
I do think
they
I got a
haven't,
new
and we haven't
subscriber.
let them
It
take
happened
advantage
today.
of us. But the
I'm gonna say it was the short. The short did it. It got like 400 views last time I checked.
the whole thing with tariffs is we had a decision that, like as an example, we have a license situation, and the license is something that allows us to immediately stop all business with, nobody even knew we had this power, but we do now because of the decision. We have the right to stop all business having to do
Maybe
with a
then maybe I'll
certain
get
country. If a
another
certain
person
country's
on.
not treating us well,
Another person to watch.
the president, without going to Congress, has the right to stop. Sort of interesting. I have the right to stop, but under that one law, I didn't have the right to charge them. So I have the right to license them, but I don't have the right to charge, which is frankly ridiculous. But the right was given to us by the Supreme Court, and we have the right, as an example, we talked.
1 second. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to like mute this chat stuff. Well, maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. I guess for now I'll leave the sound on for the chats, but I'm like, I don't know if I want every chat to make that noise unless they just do that for like, maybe they don't do it if it's going fast.
About Spain. I could tomorrow stop, or today, even better, stop everything having to do with Spain. All business having to do with Spain. I have the right to stop it. Embargoes, do anything I want with it. And we may do that with
anything I
Spain.
want.
What do you think?
Can't tariff them, but I can do a full embargo.
You have a strong power. The Supreme Court clarified. We know you can
That's
use
true.
it.
That's
and
true.
if you
I'm
need to
pretty
use it
oblivious
to
sometimes.
assure national and economic security.
Although I do think I could learn to look. I think I could learn to look at chat more often if there were actually people talking a decent amount.
Scott, do you have an opinion?
Sir, I agree. The Supreme
that's
Court
it.
reaffirmed your ability
Fucking Kermit sounding motherfucker.
to implement an embargo. And as we've talked, from your first term, the Section 301s and the 232s have withheld more than 4,000 lawsuits. And
And look at this guy,
USTR and Commerce
JD
are going to
Vance.
instigate,
He's aging
are going to begin
fast,
investigations, and we'll move forward with
This
those.
Iran war is crushing him. He looks bad.
And we've instituted a 15% tariff on everybody, as you know. And
Trump's not looking too
just
bad
used,
in this one.
I'll
I
tell
won't
you,
lie. They got the
we
spray
had a
tan
couple
just
of-
right.
paragraphs written in that opinion that were really incredible. Justice Kavanaugh wrote a fantastic dissent, but in his dissent he said what we should do,
Okay,
and we knew that
tariffs,
too.
whatever.
We just wanted to simplify it, and for some reason, authority, a very, very good relationship with China, and we have a very good.
Ooh, China talk.
Will you be talking about and the president?
She liked. I thought so. I could see.
So, Mr. Johnson, you have been in China and the president
She likes you.
in China.
Classic Trump line.
Will you be talking about China and what is
We'll be talking about China. Yeah.
and what about your
I'll be going to China in a little while. Every time you meet, you talk about China. We respect China. I do. We both do, I think. But
So much respect.
it's always a topic of conversation. We've had a very good relationship with China. We used to lose a tremendous amount of money with China, and that's no longer the case. We have a a very, very good relationship with China, and we have a very good relationship with Germany.
I was reading an article earlier about how like China is like getting really pissed off with the Trump administration in terms of like planning these events, like because China likes to go in with everything lined out of exactly what's being agreed to, and like they don't like how Trump is basically just like goes in with like no regard, like doesn't plan anything, like has no actual idea what the deal is going to look like whenever they're done. And I don't know, I'm just like thinking like China right now, I feel like with all this shit that's happening in terms of the war, like I feel like they have to be at like the highest bargaining position they've ever had with an American president. And I guess this will be about trade or whatever, but like at some point also China just needs to take a stand against like what we're doing. This like we're going a little hog wild, if you know what I'm saying.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've seen countries around the world, many of whom don't usually work together, working with the United States on Iran, whether it's Saudi Arabia working with the United States, Israel,
What?
Qatari shooting down Iranian aircraft. And
Don't work together. What are they talking about? They're all part of the same. They're all allies, and they're all there to help protect Israel. Like, like they. I think maybe they're confused. I mean, most Americans, I think, are probably confused about the relationship between all of these countries. But in general, all of the Gulf nations are there to protect Israel, and that's why their leadership is given and allowed so much power and influence by the American military, because they know that they're like going to be pro-Israel, and so. Like the people that live there do not like Israel. Like they do not fuck with Israel. But America isn't really that concerned about that because they know that like as long as they can keep the monarchies and like stable and stuff, they're probably not going to rise up and like overthrow their government anytime soon.
we've also seen European countries step up. Why are we seeing, such unity around the world against Iran?
That's a great point. Look, they're just evil. They're
Evil. That's
it's not
why.
the politics. It's their whole philosophy. It's their whole where they come from. It's terrible. Where they killed 35,000. I thought it was 32. Now it turns out it's much more than 35,000 people. And in some cases, using machine guns with people that have no weapon. They have no weapon, and they're being machine gunned. They're being sniped from buildings. They're hitting the people with snipers right through the eyes. It's just a very evil ideology, and nobody's really seen anything like it. As I said, even the fact that they've attacked
we've seen a little bit like that. We've seen some pretty I seem to remember there was an incident where a bunch of Palestinians were walking peacefully in protest towards the Israeli border. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think it had to do with snipers, and I think it had to do with, unarmed protesters just getting maimed and killed at like extraordinary levels. So, like, we've seen this before. Like, let's not pretend we haven't. We've done this before.
And the neighbors weren't attacking. They thought they'd maybe sit it out or what. They've hit Qatar, they've hit UAE, they've hit Saudi Arabia, they've hit Oman. They were helping us negotiate. They got hit. Everybody got hit because they're evil and they're bad.
And they're bad.
It's a bad seed.
See, very, very complex foreign policy analysis from our big, beautiful boy right there. Let's see. I'm starting to get bored of this one, so I figured maybe I would watch. Let's see. Well, I got to get through all the things I put in the title, right? Like, I got to do that. But first, before I do that, I have to watch this stuff about the Dubai influencers. I've heard about this. I've heard that they're insane. I already knew that, you know, all of the British citizens and like the people who like with their TikTok, Instagram girlfriends and shit, like who live in Dubai. I already knew that they were pretty unhinged, but I really have to see like what's going on during the Iran attack. Oh, this is the Cavernical, by the way. I don't know how you're supposed to say that really, but I think he's a British guy as well. I sometimes watch his stuff. It's pretty good. Ooh, that's fact. The Squirtle. I hope that Squirtle makes it out. I hope that baby makes it out too. It's like for real. The amount of white people there.
So as part of its response to the...
But I think this is going to be a whole lot of like, like we thought we could escape like political consequences type shit. Like I'm going to give my like prediction here because it's, Dubai is where all of the rich people, like they all love to go to Dubai. And I was listening to Chapa say this, like, and that's because basically like Dubai is a place where there's like a huge, like essentially like there's basically legalized slavery there, indentured servitude, all that sort of stuff. It's a very hierarchical class system. And so you have the very heavy extremes between all of the people who emigrate there, all the white people who emigrate there, and then the working class who is just all incredibly impoverished. And so, like, it's kind of the epitome of, like, almost like capitalism in some sense, because, like, in an ideal world, like, the richest of rich capitalists, like, they don't have to interact with anybody, right? Like, they don't have to interact with a single person, but they still get to live this life of luxury that requires a lot of actual productive capabilities from the workers, right? And so it's kind of this, like, yeah, it's almost like an apartheid system or whatever, but it's just where, or even like slavery, honestly, where, but the people are just like, they're always like, you never see them or whatever, like the workers. And it's like a capitalist, like, wet dream of like where to go. So I'm curious to see how they're dealing with the political consequences of, war with Iran, which is also a capitalist, or at the capitalists' interest.
And Israeli attacks on the whole of Iran. Iran has been targeting US bases throughout the region and US proxies throughout the region, including Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and part of that has saw Dubai being targeted by Iran. Now, a lot of people online have been celebrating this, saying Dubai absolutely deserves it, like it's pretty much the Muslim equivalent of Israel in the Middle East, a country completely built on the backs of South Asian slave labor, no rights for most of the population, and a colony of Western crypto influencers and just the worst people ever. You even saw extreme Islamophobes like Tommy Robinson and Ant Middleton also surfaced there recently. So it's like a haven of just the worst.
You also see kick streamers love Dubai. Like kick streamers, that's their favorite place in the world. So like you should just know when you hear that, like, oh yeah, that place sucks.
Scumbags in the entire world. The worst scumbags from the Middle East and the worst scumbags from the West who seek tax havens there. So a lot of people don't have much sympathy that Dubai is under attack.
I'm going to be honest,
and what has happened is you've seen a lot of influencers also record these attacks happening.
Scared. I'm actually so scared. I'm in JVC right now and I can see...
Oh, that Botox girl.
No. Not meant to be happening.
Oh god, that Botox.
Can everyone just chill out?
Not meant to be happening.
Like, I don't want anyone to...
Even this right here, like her, like, you know, at the find out portion of fucking around, like, she still is holding a camera to her face and like throwing it up on Instagram Live or whatever. Like that's still like like what are you doing? Be normal. Like run downstairs, go into the basement. Like just be a normal person.
Getting hurt, you know what I mean? Like I've been hearing loud explosions sort of like in the background all day, and it's like, like the sound, it's
so annoying.
I
It keeps waking me up. It keeps waking me up. I'm trying to have my margaritas, you know, my 8 p.m. margaritas, and I keep hearing these explosions, and I'm like, and then I hear like the screams of like indentured servants, and I'm like, guys, can you keep it down, please? Like seriously, I'm trying to have martinis.
It's like the weirdest sound ever, and now I'm seeing them. This is not fun, guys. We're supposed to be in the safest place. Like, I love the UAE. I love being here. I feel so.
It's like, if you want to be in the safest place, then you shouldn't be like living in an apartheid. Like it's the same with like Israel. You live in an apartheid system and then you expect to be completely insulated from it. At some point you have to be like, you shouldn't have made that decision. Like, you're rich, you can go anywhere. You don't have to live in the apartheid state. You can go to a non-apartheid state.
So safe all the time, and now I can see it. Like, please just stop.
No joking, guys. We have just been hit by a drone. We heard it coming. It stinks of oil in here. I didn't even finish my cup of tea. We've just been hit by a drone. We're in Water 1 on the top floor.
Terrible taste.
19th
dude.
floor. We're off.
Oh, fuck me. Shit. That was fucking
This is another insta, dude. Yeah, go to the like, go somewhere safe, man.
I felt that in my heart.
And he's just popping.
These Brits, man.
Just had a friend on the phone, and apparently that was over the Dubai Marina, which, even though that is a good couple of miles away from where we are, well, you heard how loud it was. The second explosion, that was extremely loud. But that second one, that got my heart racing.
Now, I want to say like one thing from my own personal perspective. I guess what you have to remember, if you have the reactionary impulse of, oh, I am so happy that Dubai is being attacked by Iran and they should attack them more, you have to remember that, like, I'd say probably the majority of Dubai society is like an underclass who are treated absolutely terrible.
Like, I'm not happy that this is happening to Dubai, but I'm just like stating the obvious. Like, these white people just they shouldn't have chosen to live there. It was a dumb decision. They were being stupid, and I think it's fair to call them out for being stupid.
Terribly.
Especially if that stupidity plays into the apartheid system.
And when you're seeing all these influencers flee to like car parks in fancy hotels and stuff, you can pretty much
like, it's the same reason I don't get that upset like learning about like a slave uprising or something. If you're choosing to live in the proximity of slaves, like, then you're building your entire life on a foundation of evil, and like at some point there's going to be consequences to that. It's hard to feel that bad for them, you know.
Be sure those Southeast Asian and South Asian migrant laborers are not getting great treatment and are probably stuck in these like really small dormitories trying not to get killed by the bombs.
That's very sad.
So I'd say you have to keep that in mind. Like, there's a lot of just really poor people, and often in like basically slave labor in Dubai itself, who will be suffering the most because these rich influencers we've seen, the UK government are trying to sort flights for them to get home. Though the people fleeing the country won't be the Filipino maids. What this has done is showed the propaganda around Dubai is pretty much farcical. I saw this quote on Al Jazeera by a Saudi official. America has abandoned us and focused its defense systems on protecting Israel, leaving the Gulf states that host its military bases at the mercy of Iranian drones.
Did you really not think that was going to happen? Like, I don't know if this is like an accurate statement of what this person said, but this is, yeah, you should have been able to predict this like decades ago. Like, I could have predicted this decades ago. I wasn't even born decades ago.
And missiles. And I guess it's just been something that crypto bros and the worst kind of influencers have never really thought about, that America's priority in the Middle East is Israel. All these Gulf monarchies, they don't really give a shit about it, apart from them being either people who buy arms from them, or just proxies, for Western imperialism. And I've also saw someone speculate that the reason Iran is hitting these countries so hard is that they are fairly defenseless at the scale of the Iranian military and navy, that they can target these countries and basically hit whatever they want, where in places like Israel and Saudi Arabia more so, there's a way more efficient defense against things like missiles. So it's a way for them, in terms of bargaining, to be like, we're just going to keep hitting Dubai. Like, we know there's loads of Western money there, we know they're Western allies, we know they're influential in your own politics, the UK, France and America, so we're going to keep hitting Dubai. But also, a lot of people are just not feeling much sympathy because the UAE is complicit and massively responsible for so much of the brutal violence going on in Sudan right now. And like I said, already is this petro-slave state inhabited by the worst scum in the West, and now it's being attacked by a country that is being attacked by the worst countries in the world. So Iran is being attacked by Israel and the US, the two most evil countries in the world, and in response is attacking Dubai and attacking Israel. You can see why people are siding with Iran in this context, but I just want to show you some footage coming out of it. Ian Miles Chong, who is another far-right influencer who apparently is living in Dubai, he's just going about his life as normal. He's at a nightclub at 3 a.m.
All's well in downtown Dubai. Everything's fine. People are outside. No big deal. So I don't know what the fuss is all about on social media where people are saying it's a war zone. It's absolutely not. It's perfectly safe out here.
Doing this propaganda while,
I guess it's just like so
while they're still lobbing missiles is kind of insane.
Much irony
At
in
least
that,
wait till
like,
they're done,
all
dude.
these the most fake people in the West who are happy to go to a petro-slave state
I must
for
protect
tax
my
benefits,
investment.
they're now expecting us to feel like super sympathetic to them because they're like scared, because a lot of these people are not in danger, they're just scared and they're just like, oh my god, this could be me, but I'm living in a country that is built for people like me on the most brutal violence. And then you have these people like Samuel Leeds. You might have seen this guy before. I made a video on him like 5 years ago. He's like some slumlord in the UK who now lives in Dubai. So he was talking about it, but then he was also saying it's still the most safe country on earth. He's so grateful that the UAE military has been blocking these missiles, and he's still doing propaganda for Dubai, despite the fact he's trying to actually flee right now.
Right now I'm in Dubai. This is my house. There've been missiles for the last 20 hours coming after the Palm, coming after Dubai. Personally seen them. We had debris falling over our house. I've literally seen missiles coming for the Palm and then poof, being blown up in the sky by the military defense team. Thank you for the messages from everybody that's messaged me asking if I'm safe and if the family is safe. The answer is yes. Everybody's safe here in Dubai. Nobody has died, thank God. However, it's a little bit unnerving.
They all have hotel ass rooms, like hotel ass houses. I don't really understand people who enjoy living like this in a place that is like so pristinely decorated, and like I would just feel like I'm living in a museum. Like this is this is not my thing at all.
The most annoying thing is the airport has been closed down. So I was actually supposed to be flying out to the UK. I'm supposed to be on a plane right now, but I had to cancel my plans. So as soon as the airport reopens, I am coming to the UK.
Isn't the airport kind of? I thought it was completely taken out. Like there's no planes in or out of it right now.
Not to escape, but because I've got a massive event on the 5th of March, so on Thursday. But
He's not even trying. He's not even going because he's trying to escape. He's going because, you know, he's got somewhere he's got to be. He's got an event.
Single missile that has come this way has been stopped in its tracks. So shout out to the military defense team of UAE. No, not everything's on fire.
Shout out.
Look, that is the Burj Al Arab. It's not on fire. I mean, the other side is the Atlantis. I can see it all from my balconies, and
we couldn't maintain this apartheid system
I mean, I used
without
to
him.
think that Dubai was the safest city on the planet. I've changed my mind. Now I don't think it's one of the safest cities. I think it is absolutely categorically the safest city on the planet.
Oh my god! What? These people are just trying to protect like their home values, man. They're like the most annoying NIMBYs. Like it's just like, not in my backyard. There's not going to be any Iran drone strikes in my backyard. Like
considering that there's no reason that anyone should ever want to attack Dubai. We're not at war with anybody. We're peaceful. We're neutral. It's just because of all the complexities with Iran and US and Israel. We've been caught in the crossfire. But they came with 200 missiles and drones. Every single one was blocked. Bop, bop, bop. Absolutely fantastic. But ultimately, the safest place to be is close to Jesus. If you have put your faith in God, then you've got nothing to worry about.
Because that's the thing.
Jesus.
So much of these guys,
Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take the cockpit of this plane, please.
social media grift is tied up in promoting Dubai as the best place ever. So many of them, I'm sure, are selling courses on how to get rich to come to Dubai. So many of them do Dubai propaganda for them.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate. That's probably why they're trying to do it.
Because they like it as part of their
I was trying to figure out why they were like trying to sell that like Dubai is still fine or whatever, and he's probably right. It's probably more related to like their like brand and stuff, and like they need Dubai as like a location to do their crypto shit, like because they need the tax cuts or like the tax like haven status or whatever to remain, and so that's probably better. I was kind of joking when I said they were nibbies who just didn't want drones in their backyard.
Personality. Is
that Andrew Tate? That's Tate. Look at him. I forgot about that guy. They're all bald.
Just walking outside for the first
This guy's not bald, but I was like, it's Jack though. Do you get like a free cycle when you go into Dubai? Like they just give you a free cycle of steroids. Like what's going on?
time today, and just feeling blessed to be here. What can I say? It's a beautiful, warm night. Kind of nice and quiet.
Very, very lesbian coded, by the way. I don't know if it's the shirt, his voluptuous bosom. I cannot tell, but something about this guy is giving lesbian.
It's been a great, quiet day as well. Flights are taking off from Abu Dhabi. Flights are taking off from Dubai, which is, I mean, incredible turnaround time, you know, from all the stuff that happened.
So flights are taking off
looks like
again.
we're getting back to normal. I'm sure there'll be some intermittent surprises from our friends across the water, but all in all, this place is so resilient, so professional, so on top of things.
I love that word over there, man. Same with Israel, the most resilient.
It's a shining example to everyone in the West.
It's very easy to be resilient, by the way, when you have like unlimited like political and material support from America to like to help reinforce Israel's like regional hegemony.
They have their shit together.
The real disconnect about Dubai is the people who do not live there cannot imagine how amazing it feels to know that your government cares about you. Your government wants you to be there. Your government wants you to be happy. The government wants you to prosper. The government's not trying to take your money or rape you or ignore everything you say.
Dude, stop. Why would you bring up rape, man? Like, there's like one thing people know about you. It's that you organize like a rape ring. Like, it's just don't use that language. That should be out of your vocab. Even if you're like using it in terms of, even in this context, that's a weird thing to say. like even if it wasn't him, that would be a weird thing to say. Like the government doesn't rape you or whatever. Like I don't think that it should be really used in terms of like government taking taxes. Like that seems a little bit excessive, buddy.
They want you to like the place and they want you to stay. That is why they're giving free hotel rooms to anybody who is stuck there. That is why currently the leader of Dubai is walking around the mall in public.
I assume you're gonna stay then. Western leader. I assume that he's gonna stay there then, right? He's not on a plane right out of there.
Never. He is adored by his people. And the people who do not live in Dubai are confused. Why would you move there? It's the desert, there's bombs. You are living in a state where your government hates you. You cannot imagine how fantastic it feels to live in a state where even in the worst possible scenario, which is World War III and bombings, you know the government's primary concern is you, your happiness, your health, and your well-being. That is a different level.
It's like, dude, have you guys ever just tried being like a white person in South Africa? Like it's crazy nice out here, man.
Of security, happiness is a different level of contentment that you can't possibly fathom unless you've lived there. Everybody in Dubai understands that drones and bombs are bad things. But unlike every other nation on earth, unlike how you would feel when you're in France or England or anywhere else if something bad happened, you know your government is concerned with your well-being. You know they're taking it ultimately seriously. You know they are.
I mean, I guess to some extent I do care if my government like gives a shit about my well-being, but what I really care about is like not the rhetoric of the government. I care about like what are you doing for me? And I think that like I'm sure they're doing a lot for him, because I don't know why they decided for it to be him, but he's like a spokesperson for the UAE, so like obviously they want him to be nice and happy, but I'm sure that the hundreds of you know, like slaves that it takes to like maintain whatever house he lives in or whatever, like it's probably not, the government probably doesn't give them the same amount of say or like the same amount of niceties as they give him.
A very efficient government. You know, they are very diligent, they're smart, they're hardworking, and they want to fix the problem and make you safe. And that is why the people who are not in Dubai cannot understand why the people who are in Dubai are protecting it and defending it so feverishly.
Listen to Top G a little more. Oh, is he done? What's going on?
And also, even living in Dubai,
that's weird.
And also, even living
Power
in Dubai
go out right when you say
is
that.
shit as well. They make it seem like it's the best place ever because you don't have to pay much tax. Dubai has some of the worst air quality in the entire world. As someone who's lived in polluted cities, I don't think a lot of Westerners really understand how much that actually affects your mental health and your physical health. But also, you're just ending up in like malls all the time for the air conditioning. You can't go anywhere without air conditioning. You're just getting a cab from your house to a mall. That's actually all you're...
I think I'm done with Cav. So the next one I was going to watch was the I've Had It podcast. My favorite former liberals.
I'm not a medical doctor.
I don't really watch them that often, to be honest, because they still have some pretty reactionary liberal takes, and sometimes it just frustrates me that they can't just like you know, speed up the process a little bit of like becoming a full Maoist third worldist or whatever, wherever they're going to end up. But I still do like them. I think they give a good entryway for a lot of traditionally liberal people to kind of move a little bit to the left.
Doctor, but what I'm...
this one is about Trump dying. His health. He must be almost dead. Was this the one I wanted to watch? I thought there was a different one that I wanted to watch, but oh well, I'm sure this one will be good too.
Seeing from Trump doesn't look good. We have cankles that are, you know, as big as a linebacker's thigh, an NFL linebacker's thigh. We've got all sorts of bruises and caked on makeup on top of the hands. And now we have this weird chlamydia outbreak or something on his neck. Pop this up. As you can see here,
is that chlamydia?
This doesn't look good. It
like
looks to me like he has some sort of skin disorder, and it's all crusty, and it looks like he's just falling apart at the seams.
It just kind of looks like.
And as we know from a previous episode I showed you, he's been sending Melania out to the UN. He's not doing as many public press conferences. This dementia duck is not in good health, and he's too easy to manipulate. I mean, he was able to have a psychological psycho killer, Benjamin Netanyahu, come over here on February 11th and dog walk him right into a war with Iran, which no other American president was stupid or weak enough to do. But the chum is in the water with Donald Trump.
I'm pretty sure Biden would have done it too. And also I'm pretty sure Kamala would have done it too. I've talked about this before, but like, this was more about Israel. Like, Israel, this is their last chance. They see this as their last hurrah. And so if they couldn't get it now, like, they would have convinced any president who was in charge right now to, I think, join them in Iran. But like I said, the aesthetics would have been different. And I think a lot of libs would have been very much on board with it. A lot more so if it was Kamala, but...
Vladimir Putin's able to dog walk him. Benjamin Netanyahu especially is able to dog walk him. And I happen to think, Pumps, that Benjamin Netanyahu must have some good information on Donald Trump from those Epstein files. Now, before,
Probably.
when we would hear about Pizzagate
Everybody's
and all
got
this,
it.
I thought, God, this is a crazy conspiracy theory. But as the Epstein files have come out, the conspiracies were true. I mean, the only thing was they had the Comet Pizza and all that pizza stuff was bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, the Pizzagate, it's just, like, this is where the 4chan shit, it just distracted from the real class dynamics of Epstein. Like, people on the left have been saying for years that billionaires, like, get away with everything, and that there's, like, the billionaire capitalists at the top, like, they control everything, and they, send us into wars, like, and, like, at the behest of, like, and they do evil shit. Like, all that sort of stuff has been something that leftists have been saying forever. Pizzagate just came and took all that and then destroyed the class dynamic of it and just said, no, it's this cabal of, they probably think it's Jews, like, of people drinking the blood of children or whatever, like, just because they think it's fun or something. Like, it really did, I think, destroy the mainstream credibility of, like, the Epstein stuff for a long time, 4chan and all that stuff. So
Shit, but the elite cabal of pedophiles
luckily people are back on board now that they can, see it with their own eyes, though.
was 100% true. This president's in them over 1 million times. Credible deduction that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent and or working on behalf of Israel, and had a lot of compromising information on Donald Trump.
I think former when liberals, sorry. I don't
think about
they probably still identify as liberals, so it's probably fine.
They've released 3 million files in this investigation so far. DOJ has. It's reported they have 3 million files that they're not going to release. And I think about what Trump has said and done in public. Grab him by the pussy, that became public. We had the whole trial with Stormy Daniels that came out about the Playboy Bunny, both of which while his wife was pregnant. We played last week on an episode, him talking about his age of consent was about 12. So given his public persona and how he behaves, I can only...
I don't like this conflation, though. This is, I mean, they still, they do the morality shaming stuff, which is just an entirely different subject matter. Like, you can talk about it. Like, it was immoral to cheat on his wife and stuff, but it doesn't need to be brought into the conversation about Epstein because, like, that shit was heinous. Like, those were atrocities. Those were crimes that, like, I don't think that makes the Epstein stuff look worse. I think it makes the more, like, the immoral stuff look, like, better, if that's what, like, if you know what I'm saying.
Imagine how despicable his behavior is in private, because what he is willing to say and do in public shocks the conscience. And then let's not forget Bubba. I mean, the email about Bubba.
Like, big, beautiful Bubba.
If this is going on in the public sphere, I think you're right. I can only...
I completely forgot about that there was a rumor, or like people speculated that Donald Trump gave Bill Clinton a blowjob. That was one of the best weeks of my life, honestly. That was great.
Imagine how deplorable and appalling his behavior is in private.
Right. And the link that I'm trying to make there is that how is it that this president, as opposed to all of the others, was able to make such a foolish decision to take American troops into Iran when every other American president, both Democrat and Republican, told Bibi no?
They would have at the exact same time. Israel would have made them. Israel would have struck first or whatever, and then they would have had to come in to defend Israel, but they would have, 100%, no doubt about it.
Especially after Bibi was a ringleader in Iraq in 2011. Came over here, lied to Congress about yellow cake and all of this stuff. A lot of that was a big Israel-driven war when Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. So my point is that if Jeffrey Epstein was blackmailing people, and that's how we got all of it.
Again, that is true. Israel wanted us to go after Iraq, but also the entire neocon industry also wanted us to go after Iraq because Iraq had resources and stuff like oil. It was all for oil. You're kind of pointing all of the blame at Israel, which they do hold a lot of the blame, but also there's class and capital interest here that's happening.
his money, and he worked for all of these nefarious characters. It's not that big of a jump to assume that Benjamin Netanyahu has the goods, that the Israeli government has the goods. We know that Ehud Barak was really close with Jeffrey Epstein. It's safe to assume that that's information, compromising information, would stay with Mossad and then be carried upon, for each subsequent prime minister. And as all of this is unraveling, American foreign policy faceplant, the Secretary of Defense, I refuse to call it the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, he tries so hard to be masculine. I've never seen somebody have to try so hard to be such a masculine guy. And in his effort to be uber masculine, he ends up looking like a pussy, like a performative dipshit pipsqueak. And here he is trying to come out after this, attack.
I mean, I don't use such harsh language as these two ladies, but I say that he looks like a little dork when he goes up there with his military terms. He sounds like a 12-year-old trying to pretend like he's a military dude.
Turn around and act like he's a big guy. Play the clip.
Israel has clear missions as well, for which we are grateful. Capable partners, as we've said since the beginning, capable partners are good partners. Unlike so many of our traditional allies who wring their hands and clutch their pearls, hemming and hawing about the use of force. America, regardless of what so-called international institutions say, is unleashing the most lethal and precise air power campaign
International
in history.
law, what's that? Never heard of it.
B-2s, fighters, drones, missiles.
Okay. All of that stuff about Israel being like this great partner is simply because they're willing to commit war crimes. Right. And we cannot say this enough. The United States went into a war with a war criminal, a genocidal, pathological, lying war criminal. It's unbelievable how much Western media can apply a set of morals.
So here's where they need to just take it one step further. So are we. We're war criminals too. They learned it from watching us.
And logic and deduction skills to Vladimir Putin. And then when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu, it's crickets. And there is no difference. Both of these people are diabolical, pathological warmongers. And Benjamin Netanyahu wants Israeli hegemony. That's what he wants. And he has a weak American president with this performative Fox News narcissist that he can easily dog walk. But what Hegseth is trying to say...
They might want the hegemony or whatever. I think that this might be a cratering event for Israel, and that I don't know if the American people, if this starts going really south with the American people, even the right wing, even the Republicans who have been who have held relatively strong with Israel for the past since October 7th, they might be completely done with Israel too. And at that point, because they'll the capitalists will ignore the Democrats, right? They'll ignore the vast majority of Democrats who don't want anything to do with Israel, but I don't think they'll ignore the Republicans if they decide they're done with Israel. I think that they'll finally be like, oh, okay, well, I guess this whole thing's over. So, but yeah, we'll see.
Signal there. Our traditional partners did all this hand wringing and pearl clutching is that we've got us a real live war criminal here, and we won't have to play by the rules anymore. We can do whatever the fuck we want. We can bomb kids just like they did in Gaza. This is an absolute nightmare.
Yes, and Hegseth, let's not forget, he oversaw the bombing of fishing boats, which is absolutely considered a war crime from what I have read on this. So it's kind of a situation where
you don't have to caveat that.
Does
it is. It is. Bombing fishing boats is a war crime. For anyone out there who's curious, it is.
Intend to follow international law. So he doesn't want to be surrounded by allies that look to international law and abide by it. And then I take it one step further and say, why would this administration follow international law? They don't follow U.S. law. They run around and they violate people's rights. They do shit that's illegal. They go to court. They're told you cannot do this. Then they're held in contempt. They have no respect for domestic law or international.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good point, but again, I just wish that they would extend it a little further, because the Democratic Party also doesn't care about international law, and they didn't they would pretend a little better, but it was always unequally applied and has been slowly degraded over the years by both parties.
National law and Pete Hegseth, the bar is so high on who the worst cabinet secretary is, but he gets my vote because he has so much responsibility and he is so incapable of doing anything with competence, thought, or or even advising Donald Trump. I wouldn't even trust his advice in this situation.
Well, I mean, make no mistake about it. He's not running the Department of Defense. Stephen Miller is, just like he's running the DOJ.
Right.
And so these people are just figureheads, but they're a real diabolical player.
Not really, though. If anything, Marco Rubio is. And, like, I don't know. I just think this is State Department. This is normal State Department shit. We're just doing normal State Department shit. Like, yes, we're going after like a bigger enemy than we normally do, than Venezuela or than Cuba or than Iran or than Iraq or than like Syria or than Libya, or like we're going after a bigger enemy, but it's just an escalation of the same pattern that they've been doing for like 30 years.
I think it's easier to say that Benjamin Netanyahu runs more of the Department of Defense of the United States of America than Pete Hegseth does. Pete Hegseth, nobody's going to listen to him. And he has now unleashed
I listened to him yesterday.
Massive instability at the Pentagon. So you have, this crusty neck, dementia duck as a president who is talking about the drapes in the White House on Truth Social, tweeting about Lady Gaga's dad endorsing him like 2 years ago. I mean, brain is totally cooked. And then you have the Joint Chiefs of the Pentagon who said, do not listen to Bibi, do not invade Iran. It will be a shit show. It will have regional implications. It will deplete our munitions, blah, blah. Benjamin Netanyahu said, don't listen to them. Listen to me. Yeah. And of course, I don't think anybody listens to Pete Hegseth.
Maybe that would have scared off another administration, but I'm not so sure.
Just as much as we disrespect him, right. I
think that was just face saving by Raising Cane, my favorite general, because it's also my favorite fast food place. Just kidding. It's not my favorite. It's my wife's sister's favorite.
I think he's that disrespect. Nobody sits down at the cabinet room and thinks, oh, this guy's so smart. And so the Pentagon is completely unraveling now. Pop up this post. The Washington Post, the paper formerly known as the Washington Post, is reporting the mood inside the Pentagon is intense and paranoid. Pentagon leaders worry the U.S. will expend its air defense stockpiles.
Yeah, sister got a shout out. Well, I figured I had to. The general's name is literally Raising Cane. Like, I had to. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what kind of collaboration I could do. I could do the politics of Stardew Valley or something. Let's analyze. I mean, it's pretty anti-capitalist, honestly, but that'd be a pretty easy one, I think.
And the conflict will, quote, spiral out of control. This is precisely what Pentagon Joint Chiefs Chair Dan Crane warned of last week. And in the excerpt, they write, the vast number of retaliatory attacks and the array of sites being targeted, including non-military sites in Arab nations across the Middle East, is concerning after so much of the regime's top leadership was killed. This person continued, officials are worried about the command and control of those weapons, the person said. So leadership starts at the top, and when you have Dementia Duck, who clearly is being ruled by Benjamin Netanyahu.
This is why I watch them, because they have the best nicknames for everybody. They're amazing. Keep going.
Benjamin Netanyahu has had a hard-on for Iran for 40 years, and he is trying to roll out this George Bush thing. We will be, greeted as liberators, and of course, there are a lot of Iranians that are incredibly happy that the Ayatollah is out. But what does this leave? Typically, when you remove one hard line like this, there's just an array of fuckery behind it. And the big question for Americans is, do we want to continue this multi-trillion-dollar spend on behalf of Benjamin Netanyahu in a region that contributes to the national deficit? What happens typically when these wars start?
It's all funny money. We just borrow it. We're just going to borrow from Europe. We're going to borrow from, we're just going to keep raising the debt. It's all funny money. We're just going to keep borrowing money until it collapses. And then when our currency finally collapses, maybe at that point we'll have to stop doing this shit.
We're going to see terror attacks in the United States. We're probably going to see cyber attacks. And this is going to be used, this war, to stop us from voting, which is fine with Benjamin Netanyahu because he doesn't want elections in Israel either, because he's supposed to be in prison as well as Donald Trump. So you have these two aging autocrats who are expanding the imperialism. And
I always forget this lady's name, but Jennifer, she's got me on her side and she's got the World of Warcraft gameplay on her side. I hope that's okay with them.
I think Benjamin Netanyahu has the goods on Donald Trump, who wants to die in the White House, in his ballroom. He's not leaving 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And I think the person running the United States military is Benjamin Netanyahu.
That would make a rad Gothic story. The president who died in his ballroom, who, like, maybe they, like, boarded up, like, the cask of whatever Amarillo or whatever that Edgar Allan Poe book is, and, like, they just, like, put him, like, bury him somewhere, and then, like, maybe 30 years down the line someone finds it. That'd be a pretty sick story.
Yeah. All right, listener, I value sleep. It's right up there with my family and my dogs. Sleep is something that is an promo code IHIP.
Honestly, we're probably good with them. I don't want to keep going super long, but I have to watch some of this video in order to make my description of my video make sense. So,
artificial intelligence is a technology.
So next we're going to watch some OpenAI stuff. Here we go. Sometimes I watch this guy just to cope a little about, I hate AI. I hate AI. Like, I'm not a fan of AI. And so this channel, Young Ye, if that's how you say it, like, I think they do, like, good reporting, but it also gives me that feel good, that cope, that someday the OpenAI bubble will pop.
That, of course, impacts gaming in a lot of ways, but it's also...
this one's called OpenAI Face Mass Boycott After Granting the Government AI-Driven Mass Surveillance.
Much bigger than just gaming. It is a technology that is incredibly powerful, that has the potential to impact just about every industry on this planet. And it's important to talk about the lines that need to be drawn, as well as the moral implications of companies who pursue AI based on the methodologies with which they're pursuing that technology, the actions that they kind of partake in, and the words that they speak. And OpenAI in particular is one of the biggest factors in this conversation due to, I mean, just how early they got into this race and the amount of impact that they've had. And a lot of that impact, many people believe to be rather negative. OpenAI, you know, from the way they've completely wrecked the computing components market due to their pursuit of essentially hoarding components to try to stave off competition, to try to stay ahead of the race, and kind of pursuing their ambitions at all costs, combined with the irresponsible ways in which this technology is being used in such a way that it's negatively impacting the environment, it's negatively impacting artists, it's negatively impacting the very people that AI technology is advertised to benefit, is something that is supposed to, like, enhance humans, but in reality, it's a technology that is replacing humans. It's negatively impacting just the way misinformation has become so prevalent. It all paves to a road where the public is beginning to realize that AI companies don't necessarily have our best interests in mind. They would like to see these companies just suffer a downfall that will hopefully signal a rejection of abusive ways of using this technology, or exploitative ways, or ways that ultimately just fuel further class divides, fuel just further empowerment of corporations, and, you know, just a deployment of this technology that isn't ultimately beneficial to society as a whole. Now, I've talked a lot about OpenAI over the last couple of months, and I'd like to give you the latest update on where this company is at. They're continuing to bleed money. The PR surrounding the company just keeps getting worse. And
to be fair, though, all of these tech companies bleed money for the first, like, 5 years or so. So maybe OpenAI, I mean, OpenAI is bleeding a lot more, but, like, Uber did this, Amazon did this, like, these companies don't usually turn a profit for, like, 3 to 4 years. And so, like, you know, fingers crossed, I hope OpenAI collapses under its own, like, weight as well, but I'm not really holding my breath necessarily.
Now we're getting to a point where the world is starting to kind of, like, boycott OpenAI due to some of the stances that they've recently taken. Lately, you might be seeing plenty of headlines such as this one. Cancel GPT movement goes mainstream after OpenAI closes deal with the US Department of War as Anthropic refuses to surveil. So that's going to be the main topic of today's video. I'm going to kind of walk you through everything that's transpired on that front. But yeah, you can see scrolling down all of the embedded posts that highlight people just straight up showing their canceled subscriptions. And there's a movement that's gained tons of traction.
This is all gives me cope, though. I think that, like, we need numbers, not just, like, posts on X or whatever, to know for sure, which maybe he'll get into later.
I think much more than maybe even OpenAI anticipated. You've already seen CEO Sam Altman talk about how people unfairly judge AI for how much energy it consumes because human beings consume a lot of energy in order to train them and raise them and whatnot, which was just so incredibly deep.
It's like he's, like, trying to become a supervillain. Like, it's like... every dystopian sci-fi novel. Like he watched it and he was like, hold my beer. Like I'm gonna be the supervillain.
Humanizing. But then we have developments surrounding how OpenAI is basically willing to make a deal with anyone that will give them the money to be able to support their endeavors due to the incredibly fast rate at which they're burning money to a point where revenue just doesn't seem like it's able to catch up. And so this latest story concerns the U.S. government and the way artificial intelligence, again, we're going far beyond just gaming. It has a huge impact on gaming, but also on things like surveillance and things like, weapons. It should come as no surprise that the Pentagon and the military are interested in artificial.
I mean, the primary purpose is going to be surveillance. The whole, like, using it for weapons or targeting people, like, they're just using it as an excuse, which it's it's a good excuse. They're going to be like, if they're ever tried for crimes, they'll be like, I didn't choose to kill that kid. It was the AI. But I do think surveillance is a very real aspect that it will be used for. And I mean, that's going to be like the primary industry in America is about to be just suppressing the own populace. So it's probably, it might work out for them, to be honest.
Artificial intelligence. And not long ago, I talked about this developing situation.
Also, if the government gets this involved with OpenAI, then it's not going to let it fail. Like the same way, like the government was so involved in like, I don't know, like banking and stuff. Like or like crypto, like there's these things now that the government has taken a vested stake in making sure to maintain that it's propped up. So unless the actual government collapses, like in terms of its monetary value or bond holdings or whatever, like if it's going to take a significant portion of like a stake in OpenAI, then it's not going to let it fail.
Where Anthropic was essentially threatened because they would not forego certain lines that they drew in the sand. Namely that Anthropic, one of OpenAI's main rivals, straight up told the U.S. government who were interested in working.
This stuff, like, okay, cool, thank you, Anthropic, but like, we live under capitalism. Like, whatever safeguards you put up will inevitably be taken down within 5-10 years. Like, it's like, like, what are we, like, okay, you can't have safeguards under capitalism like that. You can't have a company be altruistic. The whole point of capitalism is like the most evil companies rise to the top. If you are less evil than other companies, you're not going to succeed. You have to be as evil as possible if you want to survive. Like that's the whole like point of capitalism, or not the point, but that's just like the way that it works. So yeah, okay, you're putting a line in the sand that no safeguards, but someone else will come along and say, oh, or like you're putting a line in the sand saying, oh, here's some safeguards that we're gonna always maintain, but someone will always come in and be like, nah, we're not doing that. Like
with Anthropic and utilizing their technology, that they would not allow for the mass surveillance of Americans with the usage of their artificial intelligence, and that they would not allow for the development of fully autonomous weaponry. Basically, Anthropic made the stance of like, our technology is incredibly powerful, and we do believe there is some responsibility to ensure that this technology is not used for nefarious purposes or for really destructive purposes. The Pentagon did not like that moral stance, and so they threatened to essentially deem Anthropic a national security risk or a supply chain risk, which would mean that anyone who wants to work with the U.S. government.
I really wish they would. I really hope they do that. That would be so funny.
Would not be able to work with Anthropic and would essentially put Anthropic in a very precarious situation from a business standpoint. The threat being either you do what we want and you allow us to use your technology in any way, shape, or form the way we deem it appropriate to use it, or we screw over your company. So those talks were ongoing for a while, with reports from February 14th to February 16th highlighting that whole ongoing situation and talks behind the scenes. And then that kind of came to a head on February 26, 2026, when Anthropic released the following statement in regards to discussions with the Department of War. And in this statement, Anthropic basically highlights how they will not allow for the mass domestic surveillance of citizens, as well as the development of fully autonomous weapons with their AI technology, and that's a line that they're not going to back away from. And the end result was that the current administration in the United States ordered all federal agencies in the U.S. government to immediately stop using Anthropic's technology. Basically saying, we're done doing business with you because you dared draw some lines in the sand in terms of ensuring that this technology isn't abused. And all of that does relate to the latest developments surrounding OpenAI, who recently got in bed with the U.S. government in regards to this particular issue. Now, just the day after Anthropic made their stance clear, CEO of OpenAI Sam Altman came on the news and seemed to express like a respect for Anthropic's stance and almost seemed to
this guy, he is a broken man. Like I don't know what happened to him. Like I just remember he was such like I feel like he was so optimistic back in the day. Like when OpenAI was first coming about, like before they had ChatGPT or whatever, like he was just such like a young spring chicken that like he was wide-eyed and ready to change the world. Look at him now. He looks like shit, dude. He looks so sad. Like his eyes have just turned into a permanent frown. Like this dude, I don't know. It's like whatever. He's head of like, you know, an evil corporation, but they all are to some extent. So
suggests that he would kind of back a similar ideal, saying that for all the differences I have with Anthropic, I mostly trust them as a company, and I think they really do care about safety. And the way this was interpreted is that OpenAI is drawing the same lines that Anthropic are. AI as a technology already feels like it's crossed multiple lines and multiple like boundaries that many people feel should be crossed, but the ultimate line is things like surveillance of mass citizens and use of...
The only thing that will stop it is if we have a functioning government that creates a law that stops it. Like, but we don't have that. We're not gonna have that anytime soon. So this arbitrary line that they, out of these corporations, out of the goodness of their hearts, they decided to set, it will inevitably get crossed. Like
this powerful technology for automated weapons, and Anthropic said, no, we are absolutely not giving in to those kinds of demands. And Sam Altman seemed to be in the space of like, I respect that, and that initially indicated to people that Sam Altman would basically follow in Anthropic's footsteps when it comes to this specific issue. But on February 27th, 2026, he straight up came out and basically highlighted how Sam Altman and OpenAI basically caved to the demands of the U.S. government and ultimately decided to lend their technology. Now, he tries to paint a more positive picture, trying to say that he also draws lines and that the technology, the way it will be used by the U.S. government, will not allow for the crossing of those lines. But the fact that Anthropic was shunned by the U.S. government, despite having worked with them for so long, and then replaced by OpenAI, I think only highlights that there is definitely some kind of give that OpenAI had that Anthropic did.
Like I said, the more evil you are, the more success you will have. That's capitalism, baby.
And it's clear that certain compromises were made when it comes to drawing lines in the sand that made the U.S. government happy enough to work with OpenAI over Anthropic. So here's how Sam Altman phrases it. Tonight, we reached an agreement with the Department of War to deploy our models in their classified network. In all of our interactions, the DOW displayed a deep respect for safety and a desire to partner to achieve the best possible outcome. And Sam Altman specifically highlights how he takes it very seriously to ensure important safety principles such as prohibitions on domestic mass surveillance, as well as human responsibility for the use of force, including for autonomous weapon systems. The DOW agrees with these principles, reflects them in law and policy, and we put them into our agreement.
They don't.
But if that's the case, then why wouldn't they just...
No, they don't. I think if you are sentient, then you should be like, nah, that's not true.
agree to Anthropic's lines that they drew in the sand. Why would they shun Anthropic to the degree that they have if Sam Altman is insisting that the Department of War agrees with the principles of not using AI for mass domestic surveillance or using AI for essentially autonomous weapon systems? The only reason the U.S. government would work with Sam Altman and OpenAI over Anthropic is that Sam Altman and OpenAI made some concessions when it comes to giving the Department of War and the U.S. government just a lot more freedom than Anthropic would have when it comes to how AI technology is used. So a lot of people are taking to essentially
I love all his figures, though. Someday, once I'm making bank off of my YouTube channel, I'm gonna buy a bunch of figures, and I'll put them all up. Even I'll have to probably adjust my camera, but I'll put them all in my background. They'll surround my wife, who's behind me playing video games.
admonishing Sam Altman and OpenAI, and they were already like not particularly popular, but now that's been taken to a whole new level. In fact, community notes are already saying things like government officials have contradicted Sam's claim, saying OpenAI will allow the DOW or Department of War to use their models for all lawful purposes. This could allow for uses Anthropic refused to engage in, namely mass surveillance tools and weapon systems.
Hey Grok, what's a law? Can I break this law, Grok?
With no human oversight. Basically, if the U.S. government comes up with a reason for why it's lawful to use OpenAI to engage in mass surveillance domestically or to use AI for autonomous weapons, then they're allowed.
The best loophole. This is the best loophole that they've ever found in America. It's incredible. You just I can't believe nobody's ever thought of it before. You just say that that's not a law. Like, you just say, I'm going to do this, and actually it's not a law. And then you just, then it just goes to the courts, which then gets to the Supreme Court, which then says, yeah, I guess it's not a law. And like, it's the best loophole they've ever found. It's incredible.
Allowed to do that. It's basically like a loophole that OpenAI was willing to grant them that Anthropic wasn't. And what this has ultimately done is tanked OpenAI's popularity. In fact, looking at the quote tweets to Sam Altman's post here, declaring that he's reached an agreement with the Department of War and that he values the principles of prohibiting mass surveillance and autonomous weapons with the use of AI. Here's somebody quote tweeting with one of the most popular posts on this matter, saying Sam Altman is such an incredible backstabber, liar, and traitor. While your competitor is taking a heroic and principled stand, you swoop in to make your deal. Imagine working for this guy. Is there greater shame? This should lead to a mass exodus from OpenAI. And then beyond that, you've got plenty of people talking about how they predicted that this would be the end game of AI.
One thing that I have found interesting is a lot of the OpenAI people, like the employees, seem to really like believe in the ethics of it or something. Like, they really thought it was going to be some like marvelous utopian vision, which, I mean, I know that like not everybody in America is like very politically aware and like understands like, you know, how capitalism works, and like you like I kind of think that like all these people that they were just so naive if they actually thought that. And if there's going to be, so maybe there will be a mass exodus. I don't know. I'm not really.
This would be kind of its most egregious use. Things like military and mass surveillance and development of weapons. This is a technology that already felt incredibly dangerous when it comes to like the way it's being used to replace workers rather than to give workers tools to be able to better do their work.
Capitalism.
The way it's stealing art and replacing artists, and the way its quality output is inconsistent and, you know, unreliable enough that becoming fully dependent on AI might lead to just a lot of headaches. But now to see this on a level where it'll directly have an impact on things like our privacy and just the state of the world, given how powerful weapons are becoming and how AI could just kind of...
Americans won't wake up, though. They won't wake up until it's way too late.
Make it that much more precarious. This just highlights how corporations think. Gaming companies will tell you that AI will be used to enhance artists and essentially to support artists.
Yeah. How many times have we seen this, though? The corporations don't give a shit about the quality of the product. If it were up to them, they would make the shittiest product they possibly can that they can get you to buy. And if they all collaborate together to make their product shittier, even better. They can just charge more for a shittier product. Like, think about like loot crates and video games and stuff. Like, this is what they always do. They always try to make their product as shitty and like as bad as possible. They will degrade it at all costs in order to make more profit.
We're seeing plenty of evidence of corporations doing the exact opposite, just straight up trying to cheapen out on human labor and trying to replace them with AI to essentially engage in cost-cutting measures to be able to...
And the worst part is they have a class solidarity that like the workers do not. They have a vested interest in everybody making their product shittier. So like they understand now, like we don't want to get ahead anymore by like once there's enough, especially when there's enough monopolies and stuff, like we don't want to create a better product than that other person, because then we might, like, we want to all make our products worse at the same time so that we can force it on everybody, and then everybody just kind of has to deal with it. Like, especially when you have as much consolidation as there is now in terms of businesses, like monopolies and stuff, like that's what they're gonna do.
To output faster regardless of quality and artistry just for the sake of profits. And now with someone like Sam Altman, we're seeing just how easily someone like this individual is just willing to sacrifice and forego all principles and all manner of integrity. The way he spoke of humans as if they drain energy instead of, you know, speaking of humanity as the point of doing anything, you know, bettering humanity as a whole for our survival and our collective collaboration to be able to kind of foster a better future. They already told me everything I need to know about him, but the way he just quickly swooped in and took Anthropic's place when Anthropic was making a stance, because his pursuit for money, his ambitions far outweigh any semblance of morality. All of this just really highlights how you cannot trust anyone who tells you, especially on a corporate executive level, that AI will be used to empower humans and to try to make society better, to try to make products better, to try to make the people who work on the products just more productive, and to give them tools to make the work easier and better. You can't just trust that anymore.
I don't... Okay, just from that statement, I have to assume that he had some trust at some point for corporations, but
you want to learn more about the way
He's
OpenAI
getting
came to
woke.
the Pentagon on AI surveillance, this article from The Verge is a good read, but it basically highlights how weak Sam Altman's promise of prohibiting mass surveillance and prohibiting the development of autonomous weapons through AI is when you really look at what this deal is and when you look at the way it is highlighted that OpenAI can be used for all lawful purposes, which again, it's just about loopholes that allow them to say words that feel really positive and feel really like morally upstanding, but in reality,
Laws are just like arbitrary, you know.
There are countless ways to ensure that this technology...
They're going full hippie over at the Pentagon. Like, what laws, man? Those are just rules to keep you down, man. Like, we don't need laws.
Can ultimately be abused. Here's someone who kind of summarized The Verge's article pretty aptly. Basically, OpenAI agreed to follow laws that have allowed for mass surveillance in the past while insisting they protect its red lines that are incredibly weak. Basically, OpenAI is full of shit, and they may well turn over everything you ever typed into ChatGPT if the U.S. government asks.
To be fair, the government probably already has everything that you've typed into ChatGPT.
People kind of apply to it a level of candor, a level of honesty and openness that allows for just like an extreme level of...
I don't think the government already has everything you type into everything. Like, they don't, like, that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is their tracking, like, particularly facial recognition and, like, location tracking and like all that sort of stuff. That's the stuff that I'm worried about.
Psychological profiling, because what people type into ChatGPT, the queries that they ask it, informs a lot about that individual. The fact that they were doing targeted ads through ChatGPT, that was already like shady enough, but now to see it go up a whole other level where, you know, government entities can use this technology for mass surveillance and to just kind of get to know you on a very intimate level that would make you uncomfortable if you really knew what was going on. Yeah, it doesn't shock me that powerful tools like these are primed to be abused due to a lack of regulations and just due to a lack of like moral foresight when it comes to all the egregious ways in which this technology can be used, which is being advertised as good for society, but that only applies when the technology is actually used for good purposes. But, you know, it's rife for abuse right now. And what this has meant for OpenAI in the eyes of the public is that there's actually been a mass boycott of OpenAI and its services. Right here we have an X.
This is more real than like just Twitter posting. Like, I like to see actual, like, tangible data that like there's an actual effect happening.
News headline saying Cloud app tops App Store after OpenAI's DOW deal backlash. And you can actually see screenshots of this. Once upon a time, ChatGPT was #1, and now you can see Claude is very quickly...
When was that? February 27th? Okay, so not that long ago.
See screenshots of this. Once upon a time, ChatGPT was #1, and now you can see Claude is very quickly catching up. And eventually, Claude did, in fact, catch up as people decided to forego ChatGPT for Claude by Anthropic instead, due to the fact that Anthropic actually decided to draw lines in the sand, and despite threats from the U.S. government, they actually, like, held to those standards. They actually held that moral line. And to really highlight what a big deal that is, before all of this, Claude was at number 131 on the App Store in late January, and now it is at #1 this weekend. Their integrity move ended up actually rewarding them, and they also took great advantage of this whole situation. Anthropic's response saw that attention ship memory on the free plan, make the free tier stickier at the exact moment millions of new users are flooding in. And then beyond that, instead of letting their designation of supply chain risk just kind of crumble them, Integrity ultimately ended up rewarding them with Katy Perry posting her Claude Pro subscription, Reddit
Katy
organizing
Perry.
mass chat GP.
You mean Emmanuel Macron's wife? The former president of France's wife? Isn't she busy, like, aren't they busy, like, suing Candace Owens or something right now? I'm surprised that she has time to do this.
PT cancellations, 700 plus employees at Google and OpenAI signing an open letter backing Anthropic.
It is Macron, right? Let me... Sorry, one sec. Don't want to give out misinformation. Katy Perry husband. No. Is that what it was? Or Justin Trudeau. Sorry, I think I get those two confused sometimes.
Anthropic's position was supposed to be this punishment from the government. Anthropic transformed into an opportunity, converted into the largest consumer acquisition event in AI history, then immediately shipped product to retain every new user walking through the door. Now, I'm not trying to label Anthropic as like the good guys. I think all AI companies right now, in the way they're pursuing and racing towards being the dominant in this technological space, like Anthropic is just as guilty in many other areas when it comes to how they're pursuing this technology without really thinking about the consequences, without regard for how all this negatively impacts the masses, the public, the economy, the environment, the artists, so on and so forth. But at the very least, they're willing to draw some lines here and there because they recognize that if AI falls into the wrong hands, it could be so incredibly
they'll just keep going. Like, again, it's just the enshittification. And capitalism shittifies everything.
Destructive and cataclysmic. But of course, there will be some companies who don't care about those things, who won't draw those lines, as long as they get to make a profit and be able to realize their ambitions, regardless of the cost that is associated with that, where their ambitions outweigh any thought about, you know, the concept of humanity and working together so that we can thrive together and move forward towards a better future together. That's not at all on Sam Altman's minds, and it clearly shows. But yeah, basically tons of people have decided to drop OpenAI, and so Sam Altman, seeing the backlash, seeing the negative PR, is deciding to add further responses and trying to assuage people's concerns. He tried to host an AMA where he tried to sympathize with people and talked about how there are scary precedents that are being set with the Department of War and the way they're blacklisting Anthropic and any company that doesn't work with them and allow them full autonomy over these powerful technologies that can be abused. He insists that he holds the government responsible for these kinds of actions. And when asked about what happens if the government tries to nationalize OpenAI or other AI efforts, he said, "I obviously don't know. I've thought about it, of course. It has seemed to me for a long time it might be better if building AGI were a government project, but it doesn't seem super likely on the current trajectory. That said, I do think a close partnership between governments and the companies building this technology is super important. Even if he is being..."
I mean, it would be better if it was a government project, if it wasn't this government, maybe. Like, this government, I don't want to come up with AGI. Like, maybe it would be a good thing, though. Maybe if, like, the government created AGI, then instead of, like, killing all these real people, they could just, like, kill their digital people. Like, create some digital people to kill instead. Although they wouldn't be able to extract resources from those people, so they probably wouldn't be down for that.
Being honest, what this highlights is he hasn't really fully thought about the consequences of just signing this kind of like deal with the devil, where his incredibly powerful technology is just given away to be used for lawful purposes, where loopholes will allow that technology to be used however the U.S. government or entities like the Department of War deems, including in ways that the mass public would never approve of, but they just have that power now because Sam Altman handed that power to them. Sam Altman's attempts to assuage the fears of the public or to try to build himself as like more morally upstanding, it just hasn't been panning out, because the morally upstanding thing to do would have been to not accept a deal that will allow unfettered use of such a powerful technology and potentially in really abusive and destructive ways, basically taking the stance that Anthropic did, but OpenAI didn't. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a company that essentially has a cloud looming over it when it comes to the negative PR and the negative optics in the eyes of the public. I surmise that ultimately the real reason OpenAI signed this deal with the government wasn't because they believe in a collaboration that could pave the road towards a better future or whatever. OpenAI just basically is desperate right now. They need to sign any and every deal possible that will bring them billions in order to be able to weather the rate at which they're burning money. They will basically take money from any source, because otherwise they will go under. This is a company that right now is basically built on a house of cards. I mean, relationships are strained from how Stargate AI data centers for OpenAI reportedly delayed by squabbles between partners. There's a report from The Information that was transcribed by Tom's Hardware. The article says that sources say OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank disagreed on who would have ultimate control of the planned data centers. Here's somebody else adding that basically we're looking at clashes over control, marathon negotiations fueled by 7-Eleven in Tokyo, financing pushback, and a quiet pullback from OpenAI building its own data centers for now. And all the while, OpenAI is going around trying to secure as much funding as possible. In their latest funding round, they were able to secure around $100 billion, which you would think would be enough to make them secure for a long time.
1 year of Medicare for all
to come. But AI as a technology to build and to power,
I think that's about what it costs.
And to maintain is so freaking expensive that this is money that will burn away really quick. $100 billion is still nowhere near enough for OpenAI to be secure about its financial future. I mean, we got reports like this one from The Information from February 20th, 2026.
Why have free college when you can just have your billionaire pedophile overlords just, you know, take all the money that could have been used for you to go to school for free, and they just set it on fire right in front of you? Oh, and at the same time they're setting it on fire, it consumes all of your water and makes your electricity bill go up 50%. It's the best. We live in the best country.
Highlighting how OpenAI has boosted its revenue forecast, but are still predicting $112 billion more cash burn through 2030. Plenty of analysts are discussing how, based on everything they're seeing, there's not a single thing about OpenAI that makes it look financially sustainable for the long term. Here's an analysis that OpenAI could face bankruptcy within 2 years. With paid subscribers remaining at only about 5% of total users, OpenAI faces a real risk due to billions in operating costs against a limited return.
No one's going to pay for this shit, I don't think. I do agree with that. I don't think anyone will pay for this. In terms of the actual productive capabilities, or like the things people would be willing to pay for as a service from this, I think image generation, potentially coding, video generation, like the various like tools with like the images and stuff, I think are actually very useful probably, and people would be willing to pay money for them in order to save on the amount of time it takes. But in terms of just like the average person out in the world, like they can get by just fine with Google. Like if it's between paying OpenAI like $5 a month or whatever and being able to Google for free, like they're just going to choose Google. That's just like it's basically the same thing. Like
funding and investments, and that's why they signed that deal with the U.S. government, regardless of what their moral stances are, because moral stance has to go out the window.
Although I guess they could go with like the whale strategy, right, where they get their like obsessive people, like, and maybe they like charge by the prompt or something. like they get the people who like have their like Gooner AI girlfriends and like can't stop, like they're just like obsessed with them, and who spend like tens of thousands a year on them or something. Like maybe that's the route they'll go.
In order for OpenAI to survive, because they created a business model that is so unsustainable, so they'll rely on the U.S. government and on entities who seek to use their technology for destructive purposes as long as they get their funding. Here's another analysis from George Noble, who's been in the investing space for a while and has made a name for himself on that front, talking about how basically Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, just convinced 3 of the world's smartest investors to fund his losses. $110 billion, but
Smartest.
zero profit inside.
No
and
such
the numbers
thing.
are broken.
No such thing as a smart investor
Down here, but basically
Never
it's
seen
looking
one.
incredibly bleak with this whole kind of post and analysis ending with this can't end well. And then on top of that, beyond the negative press that OpenAI continues to receive, and with the latest developments resulting in OpenAI being boycotted by the masses to the point where Anthropic is kind of being put up on a pedestal over OpenAI because at least they had some moral integrity to draw some lines and to not cave to pressure from powerful entities like the government. On top of all that, plenty of people talking about how there is a real backlash against AI, and it's winning with the masses disrupting the building of AI data centers. And apparently this is an issue that's
Keep it
uniting
up,
people
people.
across all kinds of spectrums when it comes to beliefs and ideals.
Organize. Keep those data centers out. You go full NIMBY on them. I was never a big fan of the NIMBY movement, but I kind of get it at this point. No data centers in my backyard.
Very differing groups have found common ground and a common enemy in the way AI has been proliferating and the way it's been doing
Bring
so
them together.
in just ways that
It's a
people
class
do not see
problem.
the benefit, and in fact they see the opposite. They see its destructive capabilities and the dehumanizing element that AI brings to the table with the way corporations will not use this technology to empower humans, but to take advantage of humans, to try to replace humans in order to pursue further profits and to be able to rise further.
In an alternate vision, in an alternate world, if we did not live under capitalism, then this could be an incredible product. It could increase productivity like crazy. We could all maybe, instead of having a 2-day weekend, maybe we all get a 3-day weekend or a 4-day weekend. Maybe we can like, maybe we're so productive with these tools that we can just not like work we can just work 3 days a week. Like, you know, in an ideal world where we, as the people who contribute labor, could like have control over the direction of our companies, then that could be the case, but not under capitalism. All excess productivity, all the value that creates will always go to the owners of the company.
Further for just an even more extensive class divide. Yeah, the article is right here. You can check it out for yourself. Some interesting discussions about all of the ways in which the masses, the public, have disrupted artificial intelligence endeavors. Though, of course, this is a technology that has a lot of powerful backing surrounding it and continues to march forward at a rapid pace, at a pace that feels too rapid for what society as a whole can morally handle. There are reports talking about how the contrast between the dot-com boom and the AI boom is very apparent. People actually did like the dot-com boom because the internet ultimately did feel like a very beneficial invention. It's not perfect, it's got its drawbacks, but ultimately it felt more beneficial than not. The AI boom, however, not so much. It's nowhere near as beloved. The internet feels like something that was meant for all of us, whereas AI feels like a technology.
Well, and it's different. Like the internet, the dot-com bubble, while it was a bubble, the internet itself was a huge change in communication like abilities, like in the same way the telephone was, or the radio was, like, or the TV was. Like, it was a major, like, it was a profound change in the way that we interact with people. And AI has some, like, and yes, the internet created a lot of like productivity as well, and computing in particular, I guess. But like, AI is not that profound. like, and I don't think it can be that profound. I think the best thing, like I said, that it is capable of doing in terms of productivity is image and video generation. Like, so far, that's the only thing that I've seen that might actually, you know, give similar sort of like productivity gains.
Meant to be used against the masses for the betterment of a select few. And what this ultimately does is compromises the ability for this technology to be mass accepted and mass adopted at a level that AI companies will feel comfortable with, at a level that will allow them to finally make a profit instead of just burn money. And then beyond that, from a usefulness capacity, there are reports highlighting how thousands of CEOs admitted AI had no impact on employment or productivity. So all the promise about how AI will...
And also, it's never going to hit AGI with this stuff. Like the ChatGPT large language models, it's impossible. Like, it is impossible for this form of technology to ever reach artificial or like the general intelligence, artificial general intelligence, AGI or whatever. It's like the way that the technology works means that it is fundamentally incapable of fixing the problems that we see with it.
Will enhance workflows and just make everything more efficient, will empower people's capabilities, so on and so forth. None of that is panning out, which means its mass adoption is going to be that much more difficult because the technology just isn't doing what it promised to do. And then there's the fact that AI just breaks all kinds of copyright laws, with OpenAI's own CEO Sam Altman straight up admitting that it's virtually impossible to develop advanced AI.
That's what it is. It's a copyright breaking machine. Like,
models like ChatGPT without some form of copyrighted content. And already we've seen companies like Disney and Warner Brothers and many others start to sue AI companies because, yeah, that technology is being used to create basically, you know, videos and images from characters that are being deployed in a way that is attracting a lot of attention. People are just straight up making movies with properties that don't belong to them because technologies like ChatGPT and all of these AI models enable that without seeking permission from the copyright holders, without seeking permission from the people who they're stealing work from.
I'm a little surprised that they're going after the actual companies that are allowing the technology that allows users to create copyrighted material, as opposed to going after the people, like the individuals themselves. Maybe it's just too many people. Like, maybe they're just like, they want to sue every individual person, but maybe they'll come up with a new thing, like a reverse class action. So instead of a bunch of people suing like a corporation, it's a corporation suing like 100,000 people. That would be great. That would be so funny.
Basically added zero to the U.S.'s economic growth due to the fact that AI is being built off of components bought overseas. You know, all of those chips that they need, that they're hoarding, all of that comes pretty much from overseas. That stuff's not manufactured in the U.S. So if anything, all these U.S. companies pursuing AI are boosting other countries' economies and are, you know, basically tanking the U.S.'s by creating this bubble and engaging in mass expenditures with the hopes of profit that may very well not pan out due to the rate with which they have to spend money in order to make this technology possible. So yeah, when you look at just how poorly OpenAI is doing from a public perception standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from a viability standpoint, from just like an infrastructure standpoint, it's suddenly not that difficult to figure out why OpenAI would sign a deal with the devil. It's basically because they're that desperate. They're so desperate that they're willing to forego any semblance of morality and any semblance of foresight when it comes to how that technology could be used for destructive purposes or for privacy invading purposes. Sam Altman and OpenAI are just so desperate to survive that they'll make these kinds of deals and try to justify it in any which way, and it's not working. Anyone who's willing to go this far to realize their ambitions, anyone who's willing to sacrifice everything to basically keep their company alive, especially a company that is dying because of their own business model, of their own making, that is someone you can never trust. OpenAI's actions have already had like a direct impact on the gaming landscape as a whole, but again, now it's becoming far bigger than that, and now it's becoming, again, it's truly becoming existential in terms of...
They've taken all the RAM. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, it's just the tale as old as time. This is just the way it works. Maybe someday we'll live in a better world, but that day is not today. So, but we can make it happen. Enough people, if enough people want it, enough people want it enough that they'll go outside and leave their computer screens, then maybe it'll happen. But okay, well, that's another one done. Went for about 2 hours today. Still just one person. Man, I hope someday, I really hope someday I get one other person to watch me. I'd like to have someone else to interact with instead of just my own brain. But, you know, my brain's pretty entertaining. It comes up with stuff. I make myself laugh a lot, so... and if I wasn't talking out loud to a computer screen, I'd just be muttering under my breath to myself all the things that I think are so funny. So, anyway, okay, well,